I think it might be appropriate, and I don't mind if you'd like to ask a question or two, we'd be willing to do that. We've allowed a little bit of time for that, and then I believe there is a little 2-minute advertising, and so you have a time for a question.
Congressman, how do you feel about the immediate fiscal crisis facing Congress of whether to raise the debt ceiling? And looking farther beyond that, do you see any areas where we could cut spending?
Well, yes. First of all, the debt ceiling, you have to understand, that's a law, and it was designed by some smart politicians to embarrass us into basically putting our nose in the fact that we are overspending. And that's what the purpose of that limit is. It's fairly short. It doesn't define, if you don't increase the debt ceiling, what's going to happen. A lot of that's left somewhat gray. And the facts of the matter are that if we did not raise the debt ceiling, at least for a period of time, there's plenty of revenue coming in. We can pay our treasury bills. There's not going to be any Armageddon or big crisis. The crisis occurs if we are unwilling to deal with the simple fact that we're spending way beyond our means. And that we have to do. So even from a political, but also from a common sense point of view, from the point of view of the people who hold our debt, in all of those regards, what must happen is we must figure a way that we can live within our means. And any increase in the debt ceiling, I think just for political purpose, we will have to have that included, or it just will not get the support that it needs to get through.
Congressman, you had said many times that you were going to make this decision after the redistricting issue was solved at the state capitol. That's done, and so here comes your decision. But I wondered, what role did how the district turned out play in your decision to run for Senate?
Well, they didn't do it right. I didn't get to represent all the people I wanted, so I had to run for Senate. Well, other question?
Now, could you elaborate on that?
Joe?
What sort of budget do you think you're going to need for this? And is there a particular issue that you plan to focus again and again as far as capacity?
Well, I am guessing, and we haven't put the total budget together, but we're looking somewhere in that $15 to $20 million range, just judging by what previous races have been. And that does seem like a pile of money, doesn't it? And in terms of issues, I was taught a long time ago when I worked for IBM that one of the things you do is advertise the benefits of your own product. In my opinion, the thing that I want to challenge Americans, and particularly the people in Missouri, to is the vision of what our country was founded on. The idea that you can come here and have the freedom to execute some crazy idea and either succeed or to fail. And that's always been part of America. There's always been that air of freedom, and it became such a common thing that on an individual basis that they called it the land of opportunity, or the American dream. And I think that reminding ourselves of what this country is all about is maybe the #1 thing that I'm going to be doing, Joe. And I think that will tend to dominate what you hear me talking on the stump.
Now, how will you differentiate yourself from Sarah Steele, who also is conservative?
Well, I think the main thing is that I'm going to be offering the people of Missouri a literal exact opposite record than Claire McCaskill. We voted on the same bills and voted exactly differently, and we give people a very clear choice. It is, as I said, it is a choice of two futures for America, and I believe that people in Missouri will choose the choice of limited government, living within our means, developing American energy, and of course, freedom.
Congressman, did anyone discourage you from forcing a primary that could be divisive? And what are the challenges that you face running for the first time in a statewide race?
Well, of course, we don't choose to have divisive primaries, and so that's just one of those things. But we have a free country, and I wouldn't change a bit of it. And if somebody wants to run, then they've got the right to run, and that's okay. And each of us have to stand on our own record. I do think I have the advantage of a long record of standing for limited government and basically a conservative kind of approach to government, and that's sometimes been voting against my own party. I think the very first bill I ran into in 2001, it was called No Child Left Behind. It was H.R. 1. That means that's the president's or his wife's favorite thing. And I had campaign saying that I didn't think we really needed a Department of Education to begin with at the federal level. This expanded it, put more money in. I voted no on it. And so I've had an independent record, and I think that you know, that's one of those things. You just have to stand on what you believe in your heart is the right thing to do. And in my case, that's been, there's a long-standing record there, and I think that works out well in primaries as well, because people say, hey, this guy, we know where he is. He, you know, you may not like it or not, but you at least know where he's going to come down. It's going to be conservative.
There are going to be people outside the St. Louis metro area who may not know who you are and may not really know why they should vote for you. How do you convince people in outstate Missouri to vote for you in the primary when there's another person, Sarah Stillman, who's run 3 times statewide?
Well, the process of getting elected to any political office, whether it's just your state rep or whatever, is, first of all, people have to get to know you. And so you just introduce yourself to people, and then they make the decisions. And so that's what we have to do in outstate Missouri. We have to get out there. We have to talk to people, meet with people, and talk about our record and what we have to offer as a product. And I anticipate that that'll go well. We've started some of that process already, met with a number of groups of people in other parts of the state, and there was a good sense of enthusiasm. And so we're very optimistic about the outcome.
So what about the issue of health care? How would you like to see that debate evolve here in this state?
Well, unfortunately, the Obamacare, which I call socialized medicine, has already been passed. And until we stop that, we really don't have too many choices of other things, because that's being forced down our throat by the federal government. But Missouri voters recognize that. That's why they voted 71%. No, we don't want the federal government running our health care. And so the very first step has to be to at least defund that bill, or defang it, and if we get a chance, to repeal it entirely. The second thing that has to be done then is we have to take a look at our system. And our system, if you look at healthcare and it's sort of in a, you know, the 30,000-foot view, you've got 2 halves to it. The first half is the care that we provide to American citizens, and a lot of other people come here as well. And the second one is, how do we pay for it? The care that is provided in America, I would suggest most Americans would say, best you can get. You get sick, where do you want to be? Good old USA. The backside is broken, and that is, how do we pay for it? And so we have to work through that process. But we do have an awful lot of experience with free enterprise in America. And free enterprise suggests that you give people choices, and that they have to be part of that decision-making process, and that you don't just have the government run it all, because when they do, it gets terribly inefficient. So you give people choices between different companies, or different policies, or different ways to get their health insurance, and different choices. Do you want a generic drug, or do you want the non-generic? You're going to have to pay extra for the other, and people have to be able to make those choices. We have to get more of the marketplace back into healthcare. So that's a rough direction. First step, we got to stop the thing being shoved down our throat from on high. Yes. I think I'll take one more question.
Assuming
you get a second one?
Yeah.
Anybody got? All right. We're gonna. All right.
Assuming you make it to the general election with Senator McCaskill.
Yeah.
And assuming she's strong in Kansas City and she has a strong base too in the St. Louis area, how do you win this race? Is there a certain type of voter, a woman, or a certain demographic, or a certain geographic area? How do you win in the general election if you face Claire?
Well, of course, what you do in this race is you give the people of Missouri the choice of those 2 futures. They can take a look at Claire McCaskill, take a look at the fact that after the people of this state voted 71% against Obamacare, she continued to vote for it. They can take a good look at the fact that she supported the stimulus bill, which I see we have some state legislators here in the room. And if you think about that, you think about the budget that every state legislator has in every state in the country. You add all of the revenue that states collect to run their state governments, that stimulus bill took a huge bite out of that, probably pretty close to where all of the state budgets were. That's a lot of money. You can talk about earmarks, but you can add all earmarks together the last 10 years, then multiply it by a whole lot more money. Boom, 1 vote. So I think it's just on the record, sir.
Well, just to follow, you're answering, you know, philosophically, right? But I'm thinking geographically, is where will the battle be won or lost in this race? Is it in outstate Missouri, in St. Louis, Kansas City? Where do you think it's going to be won or lost?
Well, the demographics are going to follow the same demographic patterns that they always do. You know, Republican, Democrat between, and you're going to see the cities going one way, and you're going to see the you know, suburban areas going another way. And then you got, you know, all of rural Missouri, which they tend to be pretty conservative folks. And I believe that the heart of the people of Missouri is certainly well to the right of where President Obama and Claire McCaskill are. And that's why I believe this is winnable. There are other different sort of mechanical things. For instance, I've been a congressman in the St. Louis area now. This is my 11th year. And so we are known, have good name ID in the St. Louis media market. That's very, very expensive to buy. And fortunately, we don't have to buy that multi-million-dollar media market. So that's a factor that goes into the equation, I believe. And the other different pieces, you could go on and try and game the race. I think it's just stand by your principles, sell good old American values, and full speed ahead.
Do you plan on endorsing someone for the 2nd District?
Do you know there are some really, really competent people who are taking a look at that race? And I don't want to have to do any dodging up here. It wouldn't be pretty if people start slinging shoes. So, but no, there are some really competent people. The 2nd District is a fantastic district. I would be surprised if there weren't a lot of people running in it, because it has been a pleasure to serve here. I love the people of the 2nd District. And it was a very thoughtful decision to decide to even leave the 2nd District, because I like it quite a lot. And I think other people will find it to be a great place to serve. The people have been very, very kind to me and given me the benefit of the doubt sometimes. And so there, but you're going to be some very fine people running, but I'm not going to pick winners and losers.
Congressman, there is another person considering the Senate race. That's John Bruner. He's been a political supporter of yours. How would you describe your relationship with him?
Well, I think John Bruner is a fantastic guy, and I'm very thankful for his support in the past. I think he supported the right guy. Yeah. Thank you.